Welcome to another episode of the Powerless to Powerful Recovery podcast. My name's Jason. I'm an alcoholic and addict. As always, our mission is to share experience, strength, and hope across multiple media platforms. The story of addiction and the road to recovery. We're not affiliated with Alcoholics Anonymous or any other 12-step-based organizations or groups in any way. And here we are, Ron, another episode of the show, man. It's good to see you. I mean, pink? Is that what we're doing today?
Yeah.
Real men wear pink.
That's what I'm saying.
I bought a pair of shoes today. Don't tell my wife. You know the shoes are getting bad when you got to sneak them in the house?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where we're at. But it's good to see you, bro. I love you.
I love you too,
This
bro.
is one of my favorite things to do. But today we have a special guest. We got Dominica on the show. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
And she's here. And I'm telling you right now, she's this... When we talk about bringing Recovery All-Stars on, I know she wants to be humble and all that, but I'll be the one to say it. I mean, you're all over the place. We have rescheduled on you like 6 times. I mean, it's a bad look, but we got you here. And I mean, sponsoring women. She's probably has 47 sponsees right now. There's a thread. I know. I've seen it. There's a text thread with all of her sponsees on it that is just blowing up all day long.
I think they got slack. They had to go get an industrial.
Yeah. They have a whole
system.
Yeah, definitely. They got an IT guy for it and everything.
For sure.
Slack couldn't hold us. This God is way too big. That's working through me.
Yes.
And that's right. And truly it is. And, you have one of those messages that not only touches and affects and hits the heart of women, but also for men. So thank you for being on the show today. This is going to be awesome. Ron, how did you meet her?
Well, I met Dominica is another woman I met in the program through Faith Over Fear, coming around CMA when I first got out of prison. And Dominica was one of them women, you've heard me mention this before. She was one of the first women that, fresh out of prison, that I was able to form a relationship and a friendship with, and purely a friendship and a relationship. Like,
wow, that's a pretty big deal for you, bud.
it's huge.
Yeah,
but
I was there.
yeah. But women like Dominica and the other women that I associate with, boundaries, right?
Absolutely.
They put those boundaries up and they teach, right, through their actions. So, Dominica, I've been friends with her for about 2 years now, and she's a superstar. And any of the commitments I go to, I love to get her down there to speak, because especially at the men's facilities, because I like to see men just kind of wilt in their seat when she gives her message. It's awesome.
I mean, it's definitely a powerful message. But, when we talk about being a recovery all-star, there's a lot that goes with it, right? There's a lot of qualifications. There's a story. There's some things that have happened where you are able to now earn that chair that we all 3 have earned. So let's talk a little bit about your story, Dominica. So you were born in Illinois, and, the family dynamic is kind of what I want to hear about. So if you can just kind of tell us what it was like growing up, family dynamic, and then let's jump into the first time that you started using, because you were pretty young. So why don't you take a moment just to kind of share that little time period?
Absolutely, Jason. And Ron, I don't know how I'm going to top this. Thank you for that introduction. So basically, my name's Dominica. I am a grateful recovered addict and alcoholic. And childhood, honestly, I really enjoyed my childhood. I can honestly say that it wasn't a horrible childhood, and it wasn't like the greatest childhood. It was a childhood that has memories, and my family, it was amazing. My mother's my queen. We're Italian, Chicago, Illinois.
Hold up.
You got Jay's attention.
I mean, we got 3 paisans sitting here right now.
Yes, we do. Absolutely. So you know how that is then, home-cooked meals, church on Sunday.
Okay, I get you.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And my mother, she taught me how to pray. She taught me how to say, the Our Father. She also taught me how to hold a gun. Little chaos in my house.
Italian moms, I get that.
My sister, my best friend, still to this day, I love my sister.
What's her name?
Natalie.
Shout out Natalie.
Okay.
And I've always wanted to be like my sister, and I've always looked up to her, but she tells me that these days I'm the wind beneath her wings.
Oh.
And I couldn't,
Blessings.
yes, absolutely blessings. And everything was great. My mother was on the PTA.
Oh,
she did the
PTA.
events, the committees, lots of friends coming over. things like that.
Sounds
And
pretty familiar to me.
my dad, I'm his peaches and cream, his pride and joy. He was absent. I did have an absent father, though. We could talk about that maybe later on down the road. But, my father is a big part of my recovery also today.
Absolutely.
And I love him. And he always told me, just don't pick up a drink or a drug, no matter what, good, bad, or ugly. And it took me 20 years to understand what that meant.
We're late bloomers, as my mom and my dad would say.
Yeah.
I'm like the smartest dumbass you've ever seen in your life. I think that my dad has said that to me before. Shout out, Dad. And so, God, the Italian childhood, man, I get that. We all three of us get that, but at some point, very, very young, you turn to alcohol and that lifestyle that comes with, everything. And, I'm not going to say the age, but we're the same age, so I get it. We came from the same time period, and I know exactly what it was like, and we probably knew some of the same people. But let's hear it. Let's hear the first time you used, the age, what that was really like, and the next few years on into junior high.
Sure. So, basically, even with a great childhood, I still wanted to do what I want to do, when I want to do it, with who I want to do it, wherever. And I was very defiant. I wanted to do things my way. And so my first real drink, I just like to go right there, is I'm 12 years old, and I'm hanging around gang members.
Wait, hold on. 12 years, my daughter's 11. When we have people on the show, right, and 11, 10, 12, 13, I just think of my daughter, and I'm like, what the...
I know.
Like, are you 12 years old? So we're talking like sixth grade.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so sixth grade, you're hanging out with gang members.
I am, and I convinced some older gang members of age to go buy me a 6-pack of Red Dog.
Oh, Red Dog.
A 6-pack of Red Dog. I remember when they came back with this beer. It was so late at night, and I remember grabbing the bottle, and then I was like, "Oh, I can't drink this. This is warm."
Yeah, excuse me. I'm going to need this ice cold.
Yes. And so they literally looked right at me and said, "Bitch, I just bought this drink for you. Now you're going to have to drink up." And so I did. And I followed direction. And about the third, fourth bottle of that beer, they were slamming it so far down my throat while they were spitting on me, laughing at me. It was a game to them. And I got alcohol poisoning.
Wow. First time?
Yeah, I was regurgitating so bad and so sick that I stumbled upon a friend's doorstep, and her mother answered the door, not because I knocked, but she could hear me getting sick all over the patio.
Yeah, she's like, we got to check out front.
Yeah, and you would think that I would never drink again. This is a horrible experience, but
I don't ever want to do that again.
Right, days later, I'm sick, and I have this my head. Oh my gosh, like. Migraine is an understatement, right? And it's just a traumatic experience for a 12-year-old. It would be traumatic for any age, I would think, and but man, something made me feel a part of. Something still made me feel like I was a part of, and I was welcomed, and I continue to drink with these types of people.
Yeah, it's so crazy the way this thing works right here. It's nuts. We have those experiences, near-death experiences. I can't tell you how many times I did coke and I was up all night long, and then the sun comes up and I'm like, oh my God, I hate this. I'm never going to do this shit again. And then you know what I mean? Sure. The alcohol, I've woke up with a catheter, and I've wrecked cars. I've hit houses with vehicles, and I've done all these things. And every single time I tell myself, I'm done, I'm not going to do this shit again, then here I am doing it again. And what do we know that to be today? Because we all work. I mean, hold up for a second here.
Look at this big book.
Look at her book. All right. Yes. I want everyone to see this book. And I'll tell you right now, not that it matters, but if you wanted to show me what type of not that it matters. If you wanted to show me what type of program you worked, there's only one thing I need to see, and that's your book. Yeah, you work a solid program. Okay.
I think it's in still good shape. I mean,
I don't know where I keep my big book now, because it's falling apart like that in a little bag, so I don't lose the pieces, and I'm keeping it under my seat. And I have to know where that thing is at all times, or I'll freak out.
Yes,
I'm missing page 86. I can't find mine,
and that's an important page. But back to what we were talking about. What we're really talking about is the baffling feature of addiction, right? The utter inability to leave it alone, no matter how great the necessity or the wish. I could wish it, I could pray it, I could see the need in every aspect of my life, but I can't not use. And so here we are, and it's starting for you already. You're 12 years old. You're hanging out. You have that experience with the alcohol poisoning. And then ultimately now we come into junior high, and men are involved. And what's that time period like?
Junior high was absolutely horrible for me. Nobody in my town would know that because I always went about my day smiling, happy, looking great on the outside, but dying on the inside. Like I had this void, this what I call a God-sized hole, and it was filled with resentment and shame and guilt and pity. I mean, by that time, sixth grade or just junior high in general, I want to say there was probably at least 4 men that have taken advantage of me after the first one took my innocence away.
Wow.
And I never told anyone. Like I said, I just went around with a smile on my face. And when I did tell somebody, at one point they didn't do anything. So I kind of had that, like, why bother asking for help if no one's going to help you or believe you? Yeah. So I just stopped asking for help and figured, okay, well, I guess this is what I'm supposed to be going through. This is going to be my life. So I continued on and, just did whatever I could to fill that hole. Like, and I believe in the book, it's called a spiritual malady.
That's exactly what it's called.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, you're right. And it's just what's happening now is we're building up all of the reasons why we continue to use, because drugs and alcohol are the solution to the problem. Don't think, don't feel, don't care. Guilt, shame, embarrassment, remorse, regret. And I don't want to feel that. I don't want to feel the trauma from the alcohol poisoning and the gang members and that incident. I don't want to feel what happened with those other men. And I want to act like it didn't happen. And the only way I could truly do that is when I get high or get drunk. And so now we're continuing to really build just a cycle of a spree that's going to continue for a long time. And so that carries you into high school. And what was high school? If you had to sum up high school, first off, where'd you go?
Which, how many do you want me to name?
If you, what do you identify with?
In Illinois, I went to Addison Trail High School.
Shout out Addison Trail High.
AT Blazers.
Oh, you know what it is.
And and then I woke up one morning, there's guns in my face. And I find out that my mother, my queen, the PTA member, leader, is the largest drug dealer in our town. And
oh shit, mom.
Yeah, so
Italian mom.
She ain't playing.
And don't get me wrong, my mother is my queen, and I love my mother.
Shout out, mom.
Absolutely, I do not. There is major forgiveness, major love.
No doubt.
Yes.
And so
I got chipped off.
All I hear is waking up with guns in your face, and it sounds like 15 of Ron's stories. I mean, you just took me back to 2012.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Which time, right?
Right.
Another time, another show.
Jay, come get me, please.
Where are we going? Ohio this time again? He was on the run, and we got him out to Ohio, Mr. Tony Valentino. That was his, allegedly. I might have misspoke right there. But the point is he showed up on my doorstep.
I was supposed to be in Ohio hiding out, and I showed up at his house because I couldn't get no speed in Ohio.
Yes. So he came back.
Very boring state, buddy.
Yeah. So he comes back, knocks on my door. Shout out my wife. She let him back in. No questions asked. 2:00 in the morning with a duffel bag. And man, it's funny because when we talk about these stories, we get it, right? Yeah. And so you come back to Arizona and you're going to PV High School, I believe. Is it PV?
Actually, I was shipped off to California, and then
went to Cali. Okay.
Yeah, I ended up being homeless out there for a while. I was sober, and then
homeless.
I was sober homeless. Yeah, and you know what's crazy is the people out there, like, hear me out. They're itching, they're puking, and they keep like falling asleep with cigarettes in their hand. Right. And I found out that that's heroin. Yeah. Okay. And to me, it was the dumbest thing ever is like, why would you do a drug that makes, like if you're itching and puking, like, why would you even do that?
I'll tell you,
it never made sense to me.
I'll tell you why, because in the beginning, we have this allergic reaction, right? We know what the book says. The book says we have an allergic reaction. It's called craving, mental obsession, physical allergy. But another good description of the allergic reaction is when you do drugs and they give you the opposite effect, right? Sure. And so in the beginning, when I do heroin or I do opiates, I'm fucking talkative. I want to clean the baseboards. I want to tell stories from 1997, sophomore year in high school. Of course, tolerance kicks in, and then I'm the guy that's slumped over, burning holes in his pants, and smoking a cigarette, right? Yeah. Speed, I'm just... right? The opposite effect. And then all of a sudden, tolerance kicks in, and I'm looking like Ron back in 2012.
Oh my God. Pop, lock, and drop it.
Right. But not everybody can relate to that allergic reaction.
Nah,
but
not
yeah.
everybody, no.
But I can. And so you're in California, and at some point you do come back to AZ,
I
right?
do.
So
I was only homeless for a little bit, only about a year, so not long. And I come here to Arizona. I went to, good old Paradise Valley High School.
Oh, shout out PV. What's the mascot? Do you remember?
Yeah, the Trojans. And we were school district
Trojans.
69.
Actually, I live right by there, I think. I'm on 7th Street in Union Hills. That's where I live.
14th Street in Bell.
It's a nice school over there.
Yep.
And what's going on at that school, though? I'm assuming you find the party scene. What's that look like?
I do, because they told me not to associate with the kids that eat lunch outside, and that's like the first place I went
guess I'm
because I
going
want to know
outside.
why. And so they invited me to a rave.
The rave?
Yeah, it was called Balloon. I remember it, and of course, I respectfully accepted that invitation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they handed me this little blue pill, and it had a Smurf on it.
Yep.
And I just immediately took this pill, and I'm telling you, like, boom, there's this line in the big book that says liquor used to be a luxury, and then liquor became a necessity. Yeah. However, when I
Bill's
read
story.
that, in Bill's story, I read it like liquor and drugs used to be a luxury, but then liquor and drugs became a necessity. Because if I could actually pinpoint when I crossed the line into like real full-blown addiction, definitely.
That was the time period.
Definitely.
Yeah.
The time period.
And it's crazy when you work your 12-step program, and then what you're doing is you're seeing the experience of some of the first 100 who recovered, along with the founder of the program, and then along with the sponsor. And in doing so, you're able to look back at your life and identify with the book, and then you can diagnose yourself, because only you can be the one to tell yourself that there's a problem, ask for help. Finally, it takes being mangled, like the book says. And so finally, but we're talking about ecstasy right here, now. And when you talk about the rave scene, were you like a pacifier, glow sticks? I mean, were you a glow stick, fire thing? Did you get the
Fire thing?
Where they do fire and shit? Did you do the master blaster with the Vicks in the face?
Jay, I gotta know. Hang on before you answer. Have you ever been to a rave, Jay?
Yeah, I've been to a rave.
You were raving?
A
in the
couple
desert?
times.
In
I
the
mean, I'm
desert?
not a raver. I wouldn't identify as a raver, but I've been to like several. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, he must have been a jungleist
With
then, because they were like the
fist pumping, dude. I fist pumped at him, dude. I'm sweating, drinking water, eating pills, sweating on everybody. Fell in love with 46 people in one night. Yeah, I've been there. I know exactly what you're talking about. But were you a pacifier?
I was a candy kid, Jason.
Is that what they call it?
Yes,
Okay.
I was a candy kid.
All right.
Absolutely. I freestyled on stage.
What do you mean, like freestyle rap?
Yes.
Oh, what'd you spit? A flow
did.
for us?
No.
Okay, all right.
A whole nother episode.
Another time, another show.
So, I just had good old fierce determination always came back, right?
Yes.
And so I promoted for them for Candy Kid Productions for a very long time, and I ended up landing myself in the emergency room in the hospital, the Mayo Clinic out here.
Hospitals, institutions, and death. Yeah.
Designer
Correct.
drugs.
Yes. And,
Overheating.
You get hot.
You overheat.
it was
Like-
definitely.
Like someone's,
You're inside.
like
I
someone's
seen a big-
BMW I used to know. Yeah,
I seen a. I love that car.
I know you did. Hula girl on the dash. Yeah. Yeah, just like that.
I saw this thing about the whole rave scene, and these doctors, how they talk about how those particular combination of drugs cook you from the inside out, and that's how people die.
Yeah. Yeah, for real.
Dehydration,
Yeah, absolutely.
suffocation. From
How many
the
people
inside.
do you see die at raves? Do you remember?
I do. I remember a rave called Ecstatic Appeal, and I remember there was this girl, and she was sleeping on the bench, and I kept nudging her. Come on, let's go dance.
Yeah,
come on, I got pills. Let's go.
Go.
She didn't acknowledge me, and eventually I was like, fine, you're lost, right? And found out later on in the newspaper that girl overdosed that night, and I was actually nudging a dead person.
Ugh.
Yeah. But
yeah.
it didn't stop you.
No.
No.
Yeah,
No,
that
it
wasn't
didn't.
your last rave, I'll tell you that.
Definitely was not my last rave, and it just goes on and on and on. And I mean, even the doctors told me, like, you have to stop, like you're going to die. And I had over 150 electrodes all over my head. I was I am drug-induced epileptic. I have a heart murmur, a blood disorder, a brainwave dysfunction still to this day. And fear sobered me up for like a little bit, right?
I get that.
But check this out. And this is
It sobered me up for a bit.
Yeah, it says it. Yeah.
Yeah, one of my really good friends, Joey. I'm sure you know the man.
Yeah, we want to give him a shout out, Joey.
Shout out Joey in Sanctuary.
Yeah, shout out Joey Landon, everyone at Sanctuary. We're in Sanctuary Studios right now, so thank you for letting us use the studio after hours. We love you.
Absolutely. Yeah. And he said something one day that really hit home is that, at that very moment, that doctor's appointment, half my brain manufactured bullshit and the other half bought it because that doctor didn't tell me that I can't smoke crack cocaine.
Oh shit.
He left that out. Yeah, he left that out.
Right.
So now we're smoking rocks.
Now I'm smoking rocks. And I'm
speaking your language,
amok.
player.
Yeah. Gakalak. Do you remember that one? Yeah. Yes. That kind of says our age a little bit. Our age, not mine.
Yeah.
So you had a crack attack or two.
Yes, and I just, seriously, and I'm thinking I'm living the dream. I got me some new shoes and I got people buying me stuff. And then I bump into an old biker dude around 3:00 in the morning and his head is like spinning like The Exorcist. And all I could think to myself is, I want my head to spin like The Exorcist. Like, what you got, buddy? Right?
Yeah,
like,
I've done that.
Yeah. and I find out like
all the way around.
Not normal.
A wraparound.
Yeah.
A wraparound.
And so now we're smoking crack, and that is no fun. But we think it's fun, and as we all know that's Ron's drug of choice back in the day because he's from New York, and that's all they had out there. And it's crazy how it took a long time for meth to get to the East Coast. Like, well, we're right here on the border. We got everything right.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Sure. But it took a long time. Like, family out there, they didn't have no idea what meth was. They never seen it, right? But ultimately, just like Ron's story, right, the crack leads to the meth now.
Yes. And
so at 17 years old, you get introduced to meth. And now you go on a run for a decade. Right. And we don't have to share so much about what happened on that run or what it was like for all the listeners who are for alcoholic addicts. You know exactly what that decade was like. But how does that decade end, right? Like what happens? Because I said a decade. So what's that last little bit of that run look like?
It looks like I don't want to listen to the probation officers.
Oh, my PO's a bitch.
My PO is a bitch. I caught some charges for credit cards. I never had any of my own. Let me just make sure we're clear of that. I just would spend the living shit out of everybody else's.
Yeah.
And so I moved to this geographical move.
Yeah. Peoria is my problem.
Peoria.
That's my problem.
And I know some places.
Yeah.
I meet this guy, right? I'm like 1 or 2 weeks like dry sober because I can't get anything in Elgin, Illinois. And but this guy had like a house and a car and a job and like
and you were in love.
I held him hostage.
Codependency at its finest.
Yes, and I got pregnant, and
that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Right. Yeah. And but like here's the thing about that pregnancy is that like for me, my baby was the solution to all my problems. Like my son was going to fix me, and because of him, I don't have to live like that anymore, right? And man, I remember I was doing what I was supposed to finally do, and but I half measured it. Like I had to go to these meetings and things and get slips signed and stuff like that. I went to the Hope House in Elgin, Illinois.
Shout out Hope House.
Shout out Hope House. And I picked a sponsor who I was hoping would pass away before I complete steps, especially that fifth step. And
look at this guy. He's got 47 years, or girl. She is 89.
Yeah.
And if I slow play this step work, she'll be dead by step 5. That was your plan?
Horrible,
that was your plan.
Seriously, I'm like, there's no freaking way I'm not doing this fifth step.
Yeah, I get that. I get that.
Not happening. Okay. So I half measured my step work. So what, like in a nutshell, long story short, is I wrote down on that step work what like I thought a teacher wanted. Like I was passing a test, right? So I half measured it. I left so much out. I wasn't thorough. I mean, I was still stealing from doctors' offices and things like that. Like, not telling anyone. I just really wasn't living a very spiritual life, but I did some work. So I was cured.
Yeah, I
was cured.
Relief, not recovery.
What a relief. I did the steps. Get me off probation.
Mm-hmm. And so now here we are. Did you get off probation?
I did, and I came back to good old Arizona.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so now you're back in Arizona, are you working a program? Are you sober-ish?
I got a new sponsor, and her name was Dominica.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm going to sponsor myself.
I sure did, and it did not work out very well. No, it did not.
And when you say it didn't work out very well, obviously that means another relapse, right?
Yeah,
How'd that happen?
Oh my God. Like, I just remember, I don't even know, like, where it was, but I bump into an old high school friend. Her name is Chrissy. And like the first words that roll off of my tongue were, "Do you still roll bowls?" And she says, "Yes." I didn't even like consider.
Yeah, at times we have no
anything.
effective mental defense against that first drink or drug.
Not one.
And it's crazy how that happens, right?
Like from a power greater than ourselves. I mean,
yeah. Unless we maintain that connection and keep it on a day-to-day basis, all three of us, if we don't do that, we're doomed. And at times, the life that recovery has given all three of us, my disease tells me I don't need to go to meetings anymore. My disease tells me you don't need to sponsor these men anymore. Look, you got jobs, you got this, you got to go here, you got kids, like you're good now. But that's the reason why we continue to fight against that. Because if I don't, then I'm going to run into somebody, and then all of a sudden, "Do you spin bowls?" is going to come out of my mouth without even thinking, right?
Didn't even think.
Well, today we were talking about what came to my mind was the reprieve, right? The reprieve, contingent on the maintenance of my spiritual condition.
Step 10.
And Jason, what's a reprieve?
So what a reprieve means is a stay from execution, right? I got a daily reprieve contingent on the maintenance of my spiritual condition. My disease, I'm not cured, right, of this disease. I have recovered, right? I'm in remission, if you will.
Right.
I've got to continue to treat it because every single day my disease is trying to kill me unless I maintain my spiritual condition. How do I do that? Right? By talking about the way I feel, prayer, meditation, sports, physical fitness, being present in my kids' lives, tucking my daughter into bed, picking her up from school. Those are the things that I do that continue to keep me spiritually intoxicated.
Because if I don't do those, perfect example. The first words come out of your mouth are, "Hey, do you still roll bowls?" Right? Without even thinking. Our brain will convince us that that's the thing to say.
Yeah, and it's even worse than that, honestly, Ron. Like my brain convinced me that I deserve this. Like I've worked really hard, and I'm going to be. I'm not going to be the person I used to be, and I put a lot of work into my program, and I just deserve to have a little bit. And what a little bit looked like for me that day was we instantly took my son into the bathroom of my apartment, put him in a bathtub. And we smoked meth in that same bathroom where my son was in that bathtub for probably 9 hours.
That's a pretty long bath.
Yeah.
Unless that's a meth timeline going on in my head. But it was a long time. And I just remember making sure his head is above water, right? And throwing him little bits of food or something to keep him occupied because Mom's getting high now. Yeah. So I'm going to be a better mom. I'm going to make sure you're safe, but I'm going to get high in here. That's so delusional. Like that is not okay,
but
right?
It seems so right at the time.
At this time, it seemed like
Normal.
I was being a good mom. I was right there to watch him.
It's crazy. Huh?
That's what a good mom does, right?
Yeah.
Make it really quick. When you say that, right, there's something that comes to mind because I've heard your story multiple times, right? Mm-hmm. And can you talk about the part? It always gets me when you were in the bathroom and your kids were on the other side of the door, right? And we think, kind of the same thing.
You're talking about on my last little.
Yes, that.
That's down the road.
We're gonna get to that.
Oh, I'm gonna get to that.
Yeah.
Yes, buddy.
Yes.
I got you.
That's powerful.
I got you.
Yeah, it
so
was.
real. It
got
so real.
When we were talking about it right before we started to record, I'm thinking I'm about to get some tears in my eyes, and that's okay because I get a feel today.
Yes.
Right? Like we feel good or bad, but we get a feel and we're okay with it. We know how to handle it. And the difference today is when life happens, when I feel anything, negative emotions, could fuck up some positive shit too if I wanted to. But I get to feel it today without having to use over it. And that's the power of God in this program. Amen. And so now here we are, we're doing meth on another relapse and the progression of this disease happens so quick that the DEA is also progressive apparently because they were quick. I mean, I don't know how long this run was, but I know that the DEA gets involved. And so how's this run end up, because you briefly told me how this run ends. And so why don't you take a moment, to talk about the suicide attempt that comes in this. Like, just share about that powerful moment.
You know, my attempt was because of a phone call I got from my sister Natalie, and I remember that phone call like it was yesterday, and it was, you know, I answer the phone and all I can hear is my sister saying, "Dominica, you need to come home right now. I can't do this anymore. Your son needs you. Please come home." And all I can tell her was, "I can't. I can't come home. I have a lot of drugs left, right?
Yeah.
I knew it. I can't come home. Like, something would not allow me to go to my kid." And after that phone call that night, I looked in the mirror and I didn't recognize the person that I had become, and I realized that I made this, like, the supreme sacrifice, right?
Rather than continue to fight doctor's opinion.
Right. And I walked into the closet and I said the Our Father, and I asked God to take my life away. You know, and he did. He did. And he actually blessed me with another life. You know, and I went to work after an attempt at suicide. My head was finally spinning like The Exorcist. I got what I wanted.
Yeah.
And there was this beautiful, angelic kitchen manager that saw something was wrong, and she said, you know, come here. And she pulls me into the office, and all I could do, you guys, I deny. And she pulls up her kitchen sleeves, you know, like that kitchen coat that the kitchen managers wear.
Chef jacket or something.
Yeah, the chef jacket. And I see that, like, the healed up track marks on her arms, and she holds them out and she says, "Do you want to die like this, or do you want to get your fucking life back?"
What'd you say?
Just, like, took a breath, man. Like, for the first time, like, somebody, like, understood what I was going through and, like, had what to me was a solution, you know, and I wanted whatever she had. Like, I was willing and ready to get help. And so that started off a journey in a beautiful 5-day resort called Community Bridges.
Oh my gosh, shout out CBI. You know, it's crazy, right? Like, I went through CBI, Mesa Drive. And now that
that's where I went.
Yeah, Mesa Drive, hit that thing. And you know, now that I'm in, I don't know how these other detoxes, if they were around at that time, but apparently that's the shittiest one. Like, the CBI is like
no,
compared to what they got now. Like,
CBI, you meant? Yeah. No, Mesa was better than the Lark.
Yeah. Lark is always that. I mean, that's
that was a high.
That's Skid Row
detoxer, you know. No.
But they got some really nice ones now.
Yes.
Yeah. But shout out to CBI.
Shout out.
Yeah, the 24-hour observatory aspect of that. You literally got to, like, throw up and shit on yourself just to get in. Otherwise, they turn you away to the dope man. It's literally out front. I remember I was in the back at CBI, and the dude pops up over the fence. He's like, "Hey, you guys want to get high?" I'm like, "Holy shit." I called my dope man from the phone inside. You know, they got that little phone right there. He's like, "Where are you at?" Paisa, too. He didn't even speak English. And I'm trying to get him to front me some shit. I already owed him money, naturally. But anyways, another story, another time. So, you go to CBI now, and now that moment right there starts a 6-year journey in recovery. And recovery is about recovering things, right? Mm-hmm. Physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And what comes with recovering those 4 things are a whole bunch of a plethora of other things, like a family and a husband and a job and cars and money and watches for Ron and me, shoes and what, right? And it brings me happiness. I'm going to say it straight up. I like nice things. It makes me happy. It does. But I was the happiest I'd ever been in prison, aside from my beautiful wife and daughter not being there with them. When I found recovery in prison and I didn't have shit, right? And I was the happiest I had ever been, right? So all this other stuff is just a plus, right? Mm-hmm. So why don't you share that 6-year journey in recovery?
You know, it was an incredible experience, and I thank God for it, even though I had relapsed, you know, after, I mean, can I be completely honest? That 6 years means I was just 6 years in the program, not 6 years straight sober. I picked up a couple dirty chips. However, no regrets. You know, the experience was amazing. I met my husband. I consider myself his best 13th step.
13. You know why they call it the 13th step? Yeah, it's because it's. I'll tell you
I'd
right
like
now.
to hear your version.
I'll tell you my version. Right. The reason they call it 13 stepping is it's because it's step 12 plus step 1. Let me share my unmanageable life with you.
Ooh.
13.
There you go.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it.
I like that.
I just want to know if your sneakers were cleaner.
Oh,
That's
my
all I want
Probably
to know.
not,
God,
Ron.
Ron.
Probably not. Can I take off my shoes today and let him know? Look,
Yeah.
hey,
Oh, they're clean.
they're clean.
Oh, they be
Yeah.
clean. They be
Yeah.
clean.
Yes,
Oh,
you
keep
know?
them clean. Right. So you're on this 6-year journey, right? And there's one thing though. You weren't completely convinced, right? That
No.
that alcohol was a problem, right?
No.
So
I had Dante back in my life. I had Savannah. I have my husband. We're soon to be. We're engaged, and we get married. And I have this reservation because I'm not an alcoholic. Just don't give me drugs, and everything will be okay. Right, Ron? I'm not an alcoholic, so don't give me meth, and everything will be okay.
yeah, that's it.
Don't
Just,
give me pills, and
just
everything
no
will be
heroin. It's gonna be
okay.
fine.
And I have this drink, and like everything goes great, right? June 5th, 2014. And the kids, baths, dinners, all that. Nothing bad happens.
Got away with it.
Cunning, baffling, powerful.
End of a perfect day, not a cloud on the horizon.
No, until around the 90th day, I was smoking heroin in the bathroom with my husband. And I don't even like heroin. To this day, I am a heroin addict who doesn't like heroin. But I'll do whatever it takes to fill this God-sized hole all over again. And I have to make a couple moves, like the bills are too high. I move into Sunny Slope, Arizona.
Oh, shout out to the slopes.
Slopes, right?
Yeah.
We're in the
Oh,
slope.
Slope
We
style.
are in the slopes.
Yes.
Yes, we are. And man, just driving through memory lane, and I bump into meth. Right, I bump into meth, and
Just like accidentally kind of.
Yeah.
Absolutely
boom,
accidentally.
Boom.
Hi,
Bumped, bumped into a teener.
yes, and I remember. My God,
Slip, fell, landed on a teener.
it didn't take long. It happened so quickly. I remember, Mom, we're hungry. I'll be right there. Mom, we're still hungry. I'll be right there. That's all I can just say for the longest time. And their fingers were like under the door frame. And you can see my little children's fingers. They just want mom and dad. And all I can continue to say is, I'll be right there, because this drug is so powerful that I can't even stop to feed my kids now. Right? And I find out I'm 5 months pregnant, and I'm addicted to heroin and meth. And, fuck, man, DCS is knocking on my door. And I never thought DCS was going to get me, right? Because I'm going to outsmart DCS.
Yeah, sure. Not me.
They're not going to, as fast as I can be, you're never going to catch me, right? Yeah. And no, that was just all lies in my head. Again, I got caught big time. And the psychosis started getting to my head really quick. I was cutting the clothes off my children because I thought they were bugged. And those trips to the park, they were so meaningful, right? Takes you hours to get ready to get your kids in the car because you're going to be a good mom on drugs. And then they go down the slide one time. We're like, okay, we're done. Let's go, right? Because you're just so fucking paranoid. Yeah. You can't even take your kid to the nearby park to play for a little bit. And they become a ward of the state. And before you knew it, so quickly, man, I'm losing my job. My sanity is fucking gone. I'm cutting clothes off of myself. My husband's a cop. I must be under investigation. All this, this nightmare, living in the worst horror movie you could possibly ever think you've watched is what was the reality then for me in my psychosis. And I ended up having a baby on the streets. I wanted to get sober. I kept saying, I'll go to CBI tomorrow, and I'm going to call Crossroads. Just one more, and this just one more. And then I'm going to go, I'm going to make that phone. And it's just that one more and one more and one more lasted throughout that whole pregnancy. And then boom, my baby is born, right? And she has 4 holes in her heart. Her stomach's not attached to her bowel. She couldn't even take that, what's that called, marconium? 45 days before she could even take her first. And I remember so vividly how they slammed the door in my face at the Phoenix Children's Hospital and said, "You're never going to see your kid again." So now I have no children. You know, I pushed my husband out because it's all his fault,
Yeah,
right?
see what you made me do?
Yeah, how dare you?
How dare you?
How dare you?
Yeah.
You know, and I have this this master plan where I'm gonna go get sober. Kind of, sort of. Really,
Yeah.
what I'm going to do is I'm going to do, again, what I want to do, when I want to do it, with who I want to do it. So I move in with the dope dealer.
Oh, convenience. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I almost moved in with Ron one time.
There's still plenty of chances, buddy. Keep coming back.
Yeah, it works if you work it.
Different story, different time.
Yeah, that's right. Ron actually moved into my daughter's princess tent that she had up in her room and slept in that thing for a while.
It came out with a pink shirt.
And my daughter was running around the house with 3 or 4 watches, and she calls him Uncle Crazy to this day.
Yeah. So just tell you real quick. So she had this beautiful princess room that Jay and Ashley had for Bella, and I would, when I would come to Jay's house, I'd be off my rocker loaded, but my best friend was Bella. It wasn't Jay, so me and Bella would be hanging out in this princess room, and when I wasn't there, she thought I went in the castle and took off. Yeah. So she would be yelling in the castle, "Uncle Crazy, Uncle Crazy."
Yeah. Oh, that's cute.
I'd wake up from a blackout in a princess room.
All the time.
So anyhow.
And so, and again, though, it's, the progression. And so the baby's born and you're dealing with that. And why don't you pick back up from there?
So I leave my husband. I move in with the dope dealer.
The dope dealer, okay.
Yeah, and I find out, and I never, it never dawned on me when I was just going there to pick up dope, and I was always warned about this place to not go there. But I found out that right where I went was like the heart of the human trafficking, prostitution ring, midnight production, black market sale, child pornography.
Yeah, it's like the worst. Maybe one of the worst possible things out there.
And nobody ever believes you, right?
Yeah.
Nobody ever believes us, so I believe you. For those who are listening, I absolutely 100% know you're not crazy, right? And just wow, right? And I remember little opportunities that I had to run and get away. Right. And I didn't, right? Because like that powerlessness to where like, okay, I just got to get some more.
Yeah.
Right. And it was right there. And by, God saved me by the grace of God, however, some things happened and I was afraid to fall asleep. But then all of a sudden, like, I don't know what it was, just, I get beat up by the Phoenix police, right? Because I'm biting cops.
Okay, can't do
I
that.
get thrown into a mental hospital.
Ron's actually done that too.
I got thrown out of the mental
Bella
hospital.
was there. No, that was the neighbor.
Oh, honey.
Neighbor told Bella that she couldn't jump into the pool anymore, and Ron. I told Ron, and he beelined straight out there, and he just scolded this dude to death, and was like, "This little girl can do whatever she wants." The dude was like, "Okay."
Wow.
She just wanted to go swimming.
Yeah, she just wanted to go swimming.
Oh gosh. Yeah. Just.
And so now, and I don't mean to like take it to something lighter, and maybe that was God's plan to take the edge off of that, because this is such a serious thing. And when you say that I believe you, it's so powerful and so meaningful. And the same thing when Ron says you matter, and that's why we're here, because we believe you matter. We get it. We have a solution. All you have to do is walk in the door and raise your hand and say, "My name's Jason. I'm an alcoholic and I need some help." That's what this program's all about. But what happens? How does this thing come to an end at that time period, and the trauma and the abuse and everything that you endured during that period of time for another hit, right? How does this thing kind of end?
I started remembering what my life was like in this program.
Yeah.
And I really missed knowing what my kids were wearing. And I'm going to get emotional. And I really miss like what my kids were eating for breakfast, or what was their favorite song, you know, what was their favorite rhyme or book to read. I had no idea, and I missed that, and I wanted that back, and it gave me like this little bit of hope again that I hadn't had in the longest time. And I ended up going to a house where I used to do step work back in 2010, and I remember knocking on the door and ringing that doorbell, and like nobody was answering. And I slipped a letter in the mailbox, and it said, "Michael, I need your help. Call me ASAP." And my phone rang that night. And he asked me what I was doing. And I remembered again, like yesterday, I told him, I'm fucking dying. And if I don't die by these drugs, or these people don't kill me, I'm going to fucking kill myself. Like, I can't do this anymore. Please come get me. I am willing to do whatever it takes. He said, that's all I need to hear. Mm-hmm. And he came and got me. And then here's where it's just like, it's still, whoa. Like, still, whoa, is that I got into his vehicle, and he said, do you want to know something funny? And I said, what? I'm like 82 pounds soaking wet, broken. Yeah. Right. And he says, I moved out of that house where you left that letter 5 years ago. And I'm like, what? And he said, yeah, he said that, you know, God has a plan, and he has a plan. And so a faithful renter, right, or a faithful member of the program moved into that house and knew of me, knew who I was, because we spoke at a meeting one day. So he had my phone number, and he knew who I was. And so with that phone number, he knew exactly who I was trying to reach out for. So I guess he got a call and said, there's a girl with some really cute, bubbly handwriting, and she's ready and willing to do this deal. Go get her. And so there he was, you know. And I just looked up at the sky, and for the first time, I was like, thank you, God, right? Like, thank you, God. And I was so mad at God. Like, I was still so mad at God, but I couldn't do anything but thank him, because he had a plan. Yeah. He knew.
And when we have those moments of awareness, right, and we see how God had handled that outcome, because that's God's job, right? And we know that today, right? Our job is to do the footwork. It's a 50-50 relationship. My job is the action steps on a day-to-day basis. That's my 50%. And God's 50% is the outcomes in my life. In that moment right there, you took the action by writing the letter, leaving it in the mailbox, and God took care of the outcome. And that's how we do this thing, man. And so, when's your sobriety date?
April 18th of 2018.
Yes.
Pardon me?
Yeah.
Yep.
So 5 years, you celebrate 5 years, over 5 years, right?
Almost 5.
Almost 5 years. Okay,
yeah.
so.
Almost 5. Oh my
dude,
God.
Dude, I did prison math, brother. Well, my sobriety date is February 4th of 2018.
Oh, okay.
So I should have known that.
No, it's okay. Congratulations.
But congrats, man. It's
I just want to say
God
something.
willing.
Yeah.
Sitting here listening to your story again, and actually being up close and feeling the power.
It's powerful.
Yeah, the power in your message. Not that you need to hear this from me, but I need to say this for me. You matter, and you're a survivor. And Jay and I have met a few women in this journey who have been through what you went through, and they stand up tall today, and they speak truth into this mic. And you're that example for, there's a woman out there that's going to need to hear this. I know how many women's lives you've touched with your story, and I'm just honored to be your friend. You're a very, very powerful person, Dominica, and thank you for coming and sharing with us. And I just needed to say that now. I should have said that for the end, but just hearing that, when you said, I believe you.
Yeah. I need to get out there too when you're at a meeting speaking in front of everyone. I got to get out there to feel that moment, because there's several of those moments.
Sure.
Right? And God's given us the ability to, all three of us, to go out and to share our message, and he gives us the courage to go in front of as many people are there and be honest and truthful and be vulnerable, right? And share some things that we said that we probably would never tell anyone ever again, but we shared them in a fifth step, and then we shared them in another fifth step with a sponsee, and we seen the light come on, right? And we seen those things happen. And so now the attachment to those isn't those dark things that used to cause guilt, shame, embarrassment, remorse, regret. That negative attachment is now turned into a positive one, because now we're more qualified to help others who've gone through the same thing. right? And that is the healing that comes from working the steps honestly and thorough and open-minded and doing all the things and the requirements and the directions of the book. Another time, another show. Another time, another show, brother. All right, and so now here we are. Yeah, now here we are, right? And so
here we are.
Steps and you know, sponsoring a ton of different women.
Service junkie. Every single event that there's a microphone, Dominica's on there. 50-50 raffle. You know, getting people to do service. You know, she's the ringleader.
And so after, you know, that period of time when you had that, you know, moment of clarity and wanting to know about the kids and what they were going through and what they were wearing and what they were doing in school, right? And you put the letter in the mailbox, and God, you know, got the message to the right person that got to you, that got you the sponsor. And so now you go on this journey of almost 5 years of working the steps. What do you think was different this time when you worked the steps?
Oh man, I could pinpoint out one scenario right off the bat when you asked me that question. I remember Michael wanted me to go to meetings, and I was like, no, I know what to do. And I kept telling him, I know what to do. I've been in this program. I know what to do. And he literally looked right at me and said, shut the fuck up. You do not know what to do, because if you knew anything, you wouldn't be picking up a newcomer chip.
Okay.
Fact. Good point.
What else can I say, right? Like, how do you even argue against that?
You don't.
You don't.
If you've been given the gift of pain and desperation, you don't argue that, and you say you're right.
Oh my God!
What do I got to do? You know, what do I got to do?
Yes. I had to get into some sober living, so let me tell you. Yeah. I got kicked out a few too. Yeah.
But at times, dude, life happens, and we still feel, and we still get angry, and we're still human, and we're not perfect, and we have to keep this thing in check. And when they crop up in 10, we got to apply the program, and then at night I got to do a step 11, and I got to look over my day so I could be better tomorrow, right? And that's it's the accountability and the design for living that this program gives us to handle life when life happens. If I don't have it, then I smoke crack on Van Buren again, right? Like, that's how this thing works. But today it gives us the ability to have beautiful lives, and the promises materialize over and over again. So I want you to take some time just to share the promises that have materialized in your life, you know, because it's so important for people to hear what we're recovering as well. Yeah. So why don't you just share the beautiful life that you have today? Well,
one of the first things that I recovered is, again, just God working in my life. My husband was at a sober living facility treatment center called Paradise Keys.
Oh, I was there. I've been there, 35th and Greenway.
Yes.
Greenway Parkway. I was there with Tony Marinucci. Oh, God, rest in peace, Pops. Oh, man. But, yeah, they had that ping pong table, and there used to be a pool, and there was a pool there. Yeah.
We still do events there.
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
And so he heard this female speak at a meeting, and he actually brought me her phone number. I was at the Denton house at the time, and he just said, I heard a female story. She has a lot in common with you. Give her a call. I know you need a sponsor. Walked away. Ugh, I didn't want to listen to anyone still. Yeah. You know, and I'm sober.
Especially him.
Oh, especially, right? You know, because my husband's a cop. Yeah. And I'm still in psychosis. I was in psychosis for 2 years.
I'm glad you brought that up, because post acute withdrawal, which psychosis is part of that, could last up to 2 years. Meth is the longest. That could last even longer than that. The brain is marvelous. It'll heal itself, right? The neural pathways and the pleasure center in your brain will start to engage again because it's been hijacked for so long from the drugs and alcohol. But just stopping getting fucking high is the bare minimum. You haven't done nothing yet.
Nope.
Right.
No. You know, and let me tell you, if you guys would have asked me to sit here in front of this camera with these microphones on, oh, hell no, I'm out of here. That would never have happened, you know.
So, we would never got you in the building.
No, not even. Nope. You know, so eventually that's what I call this number, right? I call the number, and this lady answers the phone, and her name is Julie, and she's like, hi, Dominica. And she's like, oh my God, she's so happy. And I'm like, I'm sorry, do you know me? Honey, you don't remember me? No, I don't. I was your kitchen manager back in 2010. the day you tried to kill yourself?
Lady that rolled up her sleeves.
I'm like, what the fuck, right? She says, when you step into the light, the darkness will go away. And I just bawled my fucking eyes out.
Yeah.
Right? I bawled my eyes out. And so we got to get to work, you know, and I'm like really doing this deal. Like I had finally fully conceded with my innermost self that I am alcoholic. I am a drug addict with alcoholic tendencies, behaviors, patterns. And the craziest thing is that I realized like what these people are doing in the book back then when it was written, it's still affecting us the same today. It's just different places, different time, different people. But the emotion, I'm like, wow, I'm really an alcoholic,
It's
right?
there.
It's right there.
We suffer from the alcoholic mentality.
Yeah.
That's what we suffer from. Not from Bud Light, not from Budweiser, not from crack cocaine. We suffer from the alcoholic mentality. The book is a life book. Everybody on the planet should work the steps. It's designed to turn you into the finest specimen of man or womanhood as one could ever wish to meet. The best version of yourself. I think God is the finest specimen of manhood, but I'm a hell of a lot better than I've ever been. Wow. Right? And that's what this program is all about. And what else have you recovered?
Ooh,
is she still your sponsor?
She is.
Oh,
absolutely.
Shout out.
Still call her 3 to 4 times a week.
Yeah, that's so awesome.
Absolutely. You know, and she's having me do these deals. Like every time something wasn't going my way, she would just say, come on, come be of service. And I got into the events and I'm doing these things. And then one day I get this call around, I don't know, like 6 or 7. And they ask me they tell me DCS tells me I can see Delilah, the baby. And that cab never showed up. I was crying. She just said, it's okay. More shall be refilled. Just come on, come be of service. And I just kept being of service and doing everything I possibly can that everyone else with good sobriety time showing, right? What we want to see in people. That's who I listen to. And one day that cab showed up and I got to see my baby.
Yeah, it did.
Yes.
Yeah, it did.
Wow, what a beautiful miracle is she.
Yeah.
Delilah Serenity.
Shout out. Delilah.
Shout out to Lila.
And so I found out that my baby with trisomy 21 Down syndrome has a foster father that is a heart surgeon. And her foster mom is the state advocate for children with Down syndrome out here in Arizona. And I remember sitting on a bench after this visit, and I looked at my husband and I said, God just did for me what I could not do for myself. We can't keep her.
Yeah.
I'm not equipped for this baby because she cannot go to meetings. She cannot be around cigarettes or vapes or clapping. She'll have a heart attack. And so I have to be there for the other 2 children, right?
Yeah.
And I have to work this program because I can see history repeats itself. And I ain't going back, you know? And so
you got that right.
Just all these things just keep happening, you know, apartment and jobs and friends. And it's just absolutely like overwhelming how amazing life has gotten. And it took a lot of work this time. I didn't get everything back really quick. Let me just make sure I'm clear about that. I had to put in a lot of work.
Yeah.
I had to be uncomfortable. I had to be vulnerable and I had to do this deal, right?
Mandatory.
And I already learned from my past experiences.
Yep.
Right? So, you know, DCS cases are closed.
Yeah, they
Dante and Savannah are home.
Yes, they are.
My sister is back in my life. My mother allows me to help her put her shirt on or brush her hair, right? My dad is hugging me. Like, it's just like little bits at a time. And I always say like time is things I must earn. So like every time I want something and I don't get it, I have to work harder on me because it's God and recovery and then everything else will fall into place. You know, and my husband is back and recovery is not easy. No, it's not. It's a lot of work, you know, but I have not had to pick up a drink or a drug no matter what, good, bad, or ugly, since before April 18th. That's just my sobriety date that I chose to have.
Yeah.
And that's freaking incredible for a drug addict like me, you know?
It's a miracle.
It's a miracle.
Sure is.
Yeah, a miracle.
Yeah.
You know, and so if you don't believe in miracles, you're absolutely looking at one right now.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time to actually say that out loud.
Yeah.
It really did, you know? And so I do the step work. So like 1, 2, and 3 is building that strong foundation. I always looked at it like this, is like if you build a house on sand, but then it rains, what happens to your house? It's going to get washed away. Got to build a strong foundation, right? You know, the steps, you know, 4 and 5 are about me. And I got to do this. I got to empty it out. I got to be honest and vulnerable.
Who am I? Yeah.
Who am I? Step 6 and 7. Let's talk about the shit list and turn it into a good.
Who am I going to be? Yeah.
Right. And really work on that. And steps 8 and 9 are about other people. Enough about me. Let's talk about you. Yeah. How can I make things right?
Let's rebuild some relationships.
Oh God, those steps are so hard right there. But they're so. Looking back, it's like, wow, why was I so afraid?
Yeah. It's because we build up this false narrative in our head that the fear associated with it, and we all think we're mind readers, and I know how they're going to respond. It's going to be this way, and it's going to be so bad, and they're going to say this, and they're going to do this, and it prevents me, that false narrative I've created, it prevents me from having a conversation. And that's one thing about recovery. Recovery teaches me today to have the tough, uncomfortable conversations. I have to have those, because if I don't, it'll stew up here, and then that's my alcoholic mentality manifesting itself again. And then you have the conversations and you make those amends, and the book tells me that 9 times out of 10 the unexpected happens. And that was my experience, and everything was the opposite of what I thought it was going to be.
Right? It's crazy. It's kind of like you already got fired from a job you haven't even been hired yet because your mind's taking you there, right? Like you haven't even been hired yet. What are you doing?
Exactly.
And so true. And then, here comes 10, 11, and 12, the maintenance steps, right? And I'm not just working these steps this time. I'm living these steps.
That's the key, right?
I'm living this book because I have to do this deal everywhere I go, whether it's the grocery store or in the car, or if I'm not driving fast enough, there's 3 other lanes. Pick one, buddy.
Sure.
I'm just like, whew. And I have serenity and calamity, and life has been crazy. It's been up and down for my husband and I, but I'm still sober today. These kids are still here. I'm employable. I am employable. Oh my goodness gracious. Do I have a job? I have an amazing job. And they want me to come back to work tomorrow.
Yeah, that's awesome, right?
Wow,
that feels good.
Shout out DZ if I'm allowed to say that. Yeah. Absolutely demands it. And just the relationships. It just keeps going on God's time. It just keeps coming in. And so what it looks like for me today is I wake up and instantly I thank God I'm alive because so many people die from this disease. I'm going to say a prayer for the one who died while we were recording the session.
Yeah. The many, many who died.
Yeah. And kind of review my day.
Yeah.
Right? And then I get to go to work.
Yeah. I
get to go to work, right? And I get to wake up my kids for school.
Oh. Yeah.
Because they're back.
Yes, they are.
And I get to fight with them and wake them up 17 more times in the same hour.
Usually Ash wakes up, Bellix, I'm at the gym, but when I do, I turn the light on. She's just so mad. When I wake her up, she's so mad that she's got to get up.
Oh my God, I'm the same way.
But that is what life is about, by being engaged in the relationships in our life.
Yeah.
And it's so much fun too.
Yeah.
And when we feel that and when we stay engaged with that, is spirituality. This is a spiritual program, not religious, it's spiritual.
Correct.
And spirituality is an experience. And what happens is this program shows me how to experience God in my life. And when I experience God on a day-to-day basis more than I experience my self-will, that's a good day. And when I look in the mirror and I see a good father, brother, husband, and son, I don't want to change the way I feel anymore.
Not at all. And I had one fear for the past 4 years. Can I share it with you?
Yeah.
I had a fear. I was praying for 4 years for God to give me the courage to ask Delilah's foster mom, or parents now, if I can see her over a video chat. Right. And because I get emails and stuff, and that's really cool. And I finally built that courage to send that email. I finally hit send, and boy, was I bawling my eyes out. Right. And I got a return email probably an hour later and said, unfortunately, you're unable to see her over video. But what we can do is next time we're in Scottsdale, we'll let you know and you can see her in person.
Yeah, that's right.
And I could still cry right now because people say don't leave before the miracle happens, right? More shall be revealed, right? This too shall pass. And I always and it's
my mom's been saying that to me. Turns out mom was right about everything.
Everything. Right?
Yeah, mom was right.
And so and I look back and I'm like, for 4 years, I fucking feared one email, right? And all I could have done was just push send, and Maybe I had to work harder on myself and send a second one 2 years later, but God's plan, you know, and so now I get to patiently wait, keep working on myself. Basically, my day looks like this. Don't piss off people and go owing an amends, and pack into the stream of life.
Yes.
And if I could do those two things to the best of my ability, I'm not perfect, I have a really good chance of going to bed sober, right? And ultimately, I'm going to look for the one person's hand that I can grab, and I'm going to do my best to place it in the hand of God's, right? That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Because when you step into the light, the darkness goes away.
I mean, your message tonight was so powerful, and I'm just so grateful we're able to get her out here. And you know, I got a bunch of videos. I know you got some videos, and you get a ton of streams on your shares because they're so powerful, and you have the privilege to speak all over the valley. And it's been an honor to have you here tonight to share your message with all the listeners. And continue to follow the Powerless to Powerful Recovery podcast. Ron, they find us where? They find us at TikTok.
Facebook, TikTok, Ronnie No Matter What.
Oh, Ronnie No Matter What. Like, subscribe. If you want to be on the show, continue to message us. We will get you on. But continue to follow and share the message of hope. That's what this thing's all about. When you hear the message of Ron and I and all of the special guests in Dominica and everyone who's been on the show, what we're showing you is that if we can do it, you can do it too.
Absolutely.
This is a team sport. Come be a part of our team. So continue to follow, like, subscribe. We love you. We appreciate all the followers. You guys are so loyal all across the world. Thank you. And continue to watch for the new episodes. Dominica, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you, Dominica.
So continue to follow the podcast. And for everyone out there, we love you and you matter.
You guys are incredible. Grateful is an understatement. Thank you so much, you know, for having me here. And, you know, if one of you out there is suffering and you felt like, you know, you're about to end your night tonight, like, you don't have to. Like, this shit is real. Like, we do recover, you know, and I was an addict 24/7, so I'm in recovery 24/7.
Right.
Reach out.
Awesome.
With that, I pass.
Yeah. Thank you for being on the show and continue to tune in.
I would like to actually thank my sponsor,
Yeah.
Julie. I love you very, very much, and thank you for never, ever giving up on me, because I was once a lost cause, and you literally have taken my hand to place in the hand of God's, and I wouldn't be here today without you. And I love you so very much. And
thank you.
Thank you.
You got a miracle here.